You. What up? All right. We got another one from Louis C.K. and another one from Louis C.K. Louis C.K. on movies. Another Louis C.K. on movies. And this is There Will Be Blood. Yeah. Classic movie. Classic movie. Daniel Day Lewis, amazing actor. You know what I'm saying? What was I drink your milkshake. The bowling alley scene. You know what I'm saying? Classic movie. Amazing movie. You know what I'm saying? Gangs in New York. That was another amazing movie that Daniel Day Lewis did with Leonardo DiCaprio and Cameron Diaz. You know what I'm saying? And is it John C. Riley from Talladega Nights was in there? Gangs in New York was amazing too, but There Will Be Blood. There Will Be Blood. Louis C.K. Let's check it out. Here we go.
I was so excited when it started. I was so impressed, and I enjoyed so much the investment of this guy in a hole. It's just so I've just never seen anything set up that way, so perfectly without language, with no words. A man in a hole and making this investment in his own future and it like an animal. He's like an animal, and that character is an animal. You could talk about that hole for as long as it was filmed, and just he's alone in a hole. He's a billionaire, but he still goes to this hole. I get the sense that and you see throughout the movie that he continues to get full of oil, and he continues to buy his own property from the local realtor. He does everything by himself, completely independent person. And what this leads to is a total decay of his spirit, that he wants to exist in his son, but he doesn't want to make it, and he doesn't want to give it to a woman. He doesn't want to share it with a woman in order to give it to his son. He wants an orphan son that's not even his blood, so that he can carry. It's like he wants to clone himself.
Then he sent his son away.
He wants his brother because he wants someone he can trust implicitly. But just the way it felt, and like the way there's so many movies that are period movies that look like a bunch of people walking around in 2020 in stupid clothes, and they overuse tracking cam. They use helicopter shots of battle scenes from the Civil War, and I just go, where'd they get the helicopter? Like, I can't it's an illusion, it's a trick. But this movie is stripped bare, and I really believe where I am. And as soon as it started with, like Joe saying, the music and the cinematography and the acting, I was like, oh, all right, I'm here, I'm willing. You just fucking abuse me. I don't give a shit. I love this
bowling alley scene.
And it never let me down. Anytime that the chocolate going down my throat got too rich, it would ease up, and there'd be like cream and ice water. It just got better and better. I hate to talk about it this way, but it's true. It got better and better, and then I start wondering what's going to happen to these people. Unchangeable. What happens is the world around him decays and devolves until this kid who he gave this life to comes back deaf, saying, I don't want any of this from you. I just want you to know that you're nothing to me now. Although he's asking him for money to be an oil magnate. And look, the guy's a child. He's a giant, weird child. Well, he doesn't change at all. The thing about him is his unchanging. What happens to a person who never changes? He ends up with more. I mean, the way there's no accidents in film design and production design. You look at the castle he's living in, and the depth, the richness of the fucking wood, and the desk he sits at, and his office, and the mannerism of his servant, and he's a husk. He's just, from all those years of no nourishment to his soul, he just casually kills a guy. This is where I disagree with you. I don't see it as a cerebral victory with an emotional lack of emotion. I think there's a spectrum of emotions that you're neglecting, and part of it is because you're a young fella and you haven't learned to appreciate these, and that's why Paul Thomas Anderson has come to them later in his filmmaking too.
one of
he's
the
never going to cede a second of territory to somebody who's a wild card, who's the opposite sex, who brings out desire in him, any of that. Well, and also if you compare his purist idea of like putting all of everything into your business against being with a bunch of whores in a tavern, like in other words, it's not like the thing he's not taking part in is so great either in a sense. Like neither of them, him or his brother, or Paul Dano, are after love or real human contact.
Right.
They're all greedy fucks, and they're all confused. I mean, to me, one thing I'm haunted by with that movie, and by haunted I mean something I can't resolve, so I think about it a lot, is when his son gets injured, and first there's the obvious display of who he is by that he works all night to cap the well before he goes near his kid.
Yeah.
But when he does,
he sends him away.
He's holding his kid. If you look at it, it's exactly the same pose as John Lennon naked with Yoko Ono when he's got his leg over him.
What?
He's holding him like this, laying on his side, kissing him, and there's so much love and affection in that moment, and it's very confusing. It's very I don't know everything about what it means. I really don't. But again, I attribute to honest filmmaking.
It's almost like the feeling
more than
John Lennon and Yoko Ono.
Clear bells, like when I used to go to church as a kid, and once in a while they ring a bell. And I asked my mother, why do they keep doing that? She goes, they just want you to pay attention to this one part. They're like, listen, this part's important. And so there's a lot of movies that do that. I don't even know if it's love. I don't know. And I don't think he's a sociopath.
Or
I don't think he is. I know what you mean. I mean, he's a little young for the part.
Young, yeah.
But in those days, actually, that made me feel more transported to that time because people didn't act like they do now.
Mm-hmm.
People certainly didn't show Christianity has a really strange place in American history because essentially there's been people who have been acting insane throughout American history,
right,
and being praised and paid for it, like speaking in tongues and all kinds of. We have this weird part of our legitimate history. Like U.S. presidents going way back have like posed and shook hands with guys who have literally healed people, and spoken in tongues. It's insane that we're that close to something that's like very esoteric behavior. So I think it was well shown in that. I think Paul Thomas Anderson sometimes Jesus, the fucking discipline of Daniel Day-Lewis's performance, and even the kid. Against Paul Dano, who I think he just kind of let him off the leash and said, you do whatever you want. Right. I might have said, bring it down a little, but then it wouldn't have been. I mean, it's an insane movie.
Perfect.
The movie's also not a period piece about oil. It's a fucking dream. It's a sick dream. I don't know where the fuck he got this story, what made him sit down and write it the way he did and film it the way he did. But the thing that I get really excited about is somebody who makes a dreamlike movie, but knows exactly what he's doing. That doesn't just throw mud against the wall. Goes like, this is what it has to sound like. This is what the colors. This is what the oil, the black smoke looks like against the sky. This is we're gonna be. The colors in this movie are gonna be black, navy blue, and tan, and there's not gonna be any other colors in the whole movie. And this is what the music is going to sound like, and this is what his mustache is going to look like, and what he looks like when he's pissed off and with a drink in his hand. That's it. Discipline in a dreamlike movie is a great combination. I think he does that.
Yeah. Louis C.K. breakdown movies seriously. Like you get a Nick Mullen breakdown or a Bill Burr breakdown or a Patrice O'Neal breakdown. They throw a little bit of humor in there, but Louis C.K. is. He's serious. Oh, man. But I agree. I agree. There Will Be Blood is an amazing movie. And it didn't feel like a lot of movies you watch today. You watch period piece movies set in like the 1800s or early 1900s or some shit. It feels like they're in costume, they're in cosplay. It's a movie. There Will Be Blood looked like a documentary and shit. At least the way it was filmed, you know. Yeah, Daniel Day Lewis's performance was amazing, captivating. I think I saw like a couple outtakes on YouTube a few years back of the scene, like when he's in like the restaurant with his son, and it was like Daniel Day Lewis breaking character, and it didn't even seem like he broke character. Looked like he was when he broke character, he was still in character. And that's how good Daniel Day Lewis was. Yeah, amazing movie. Daniel Day Lewis is an amazing actor. Like, I've only really seen, like, when I think about it, like, two movies: There Will Be Blood and Gangs of New York. I know he was in like My Left Foot and in some other movies, but like those two movies make me believe he is one of the greatest actors that I've ever seen. Just from the Butcher's character in the Gangs of New York, just an amazing, villain. I guess you could say he was a villain, but at some points you did root for him. But yeah, and then There Will Be Blood. So I mean, two performances. That's all I need, and I believe he's one of the greatest actors that we have today. Lincoln. Well, how am I forgetting Lincoln? He was amazing in Lincoln. You know what I'm saying? He was Abraham Lincoln. Amazing actor. Amazing actor. Yeah, Louis C.K. with the serious breakdown.